What's up, good people? Welcome back to the Stock Exchange Network. Man, I just want to say thank you to the subscribers who recently just joined on. I want to say thank you to my followers who've been with me since day one, who've been encouraging me and just walking with me. I want to share that I recently joined TikTok under the name Stock Exchange Zero. If everybody could go on there and follow me there, man, I'm really just learning it all. I'm picking it all up, learning the nuances of it. So I just want everybody to be able to grow with me on all platforms. So if you could follow me on TikTok, follow me at Instagram, Stock Exchange, on Facebook, Anthony Hellstock. I'll be creating just a regular Stock Exchange page for that as well. But I want to dive back into where I left off from my last video. And I was talking about infidelity, and if anyone ever sits down and really thinks about the detriment of infidelity, how bad it is, how the side effects and the ramifications from that affects everyone involved, everyone around. But before we dive all the way in, I have two questions. I want this to be an interactive situation. I want everybody to give me some feedback, leave some comments, and answer these two questions for me. The first question is, give me a situation that you were in where either you yourself stepped out and cheated on your significant other, or if you were like indirectly affected by it, as in like you grew up in a household with divorced parents, or you've seen your grandma and grandpa divorce and you saw the negativity that happens, or aunts and uncles or people close to you, and how that affected you. And also, the next question I want you to answer is, how many of you had parents who actually came to you, sat you down, and asked you, what are your feelings regarding this? Like, how did it affect you? And actually explain the dynamics of relationships and how people go through arguments and situations, and actually get your feedback. I want to know actually how you feel about it. So I'm just going to share some stories that I learned of people that I've talked to and came across in the past, and then I'm gonna dive all the way in. So my boy growing up, his mother cheated on his father. I think we were in the 11th grade. All right, and of course we didn't talk about it then. We wasn't really in a position to really know what was really going on and to even address that and bring that up in conversation. But we ended up going to college together, and I think it was either our sophomore or junior year. And he came to me, he's like, yo, like, I can't trust no woman, bro. I was like, what's going on? What you mean? He was like, man, how can I ever trust a woman when my mom cheated on my dad? And I don't think the parents ever thought about it. I don't think anybody else ever really think about it and sit down and look at that detriment. But he was like, yo, he had girlfriends, he was interacting with other women and things of that nature, and people that you would think he want to settle down with, but he could never really give his heart. He could never trust a woman, because the woman, the first woman in his life, his first love, the woman that he learned from, the woman that he held in high regard, had failed him by cheating on his father. So therefore, if I can't even trust my own mom, this is the person who's been giving me the game, how can I trust another woman? All right, so that's the first scenario. And then another young lady that's close to me, we were sitting down at the table, we chopping it up, had a few drinks, and she came out and she said, you know what? You and your wife, y'all are the first couple, the first healthy couple, the first couple that I actually seen interact with each other in a positive manner. And I'm 30 years old. And I was like, wow, like that really, really resonated with me. And I'm not gonna share who the individuals are. Like, I just wanna share those stories, and I actually sat back and processed those situations. So I'll use my family, for example. I grew up in a household with my mother and father. My mother and father would have arguments from time to time, and every so often, those arguments became very, very explosive. Not physically explosive, but verbally explosive. To the point, I would run into the other room, I would be crying, and I'm telling them, stop, please stop arguing, this is not good. And it would startle them, and they would recognize how bad it was, and they would have a few words here and there, then they would go their separate ways. But not one time did my mother or my father come into the room and sit me or my siblings down to ask, or apologize, like, we're sorry for arguing in front of you all, and we just wanted to like talk to y'all about it. Like, how did that make you feel? What were your emotions? What was running through your mind during that time? And then, but you know what? Men and women, we get upset from time to time. We have arguments, but we're on the same page. We're one. That was never a conversation that was sat down and given to us. And to be honest, they didn't really know how. This whole mental health movement and being more in tune and understanding life and understanding relationships, understanding how to communicate and be respectful of one another, that's a whole new thing. It's maybe not new to the average person, but to the masses, to the culture, to our culture, that's something that's brand new. And so that's something that a cycle that we're trying to break as husband and wife now, so that our children actually sit down with them to get their feelings, to talk to them about their emotions, and not just on the basic dynamics of family or of relationships, but in general. Like, have I ever said anything to you to really harm you, to hurt you? Anything that I may have said that made you feel a certain type of way? You can share that with me. I want to be open to feedback. That whole thing is, you just sit back and you just take it. I'm the parent and you're the child. Don't you dare talk back to me. Nah, that's not effective. Of course you don't want them talking back to you in a negative manner, but it's great to sit down with your child and teach them how to share and be open to sharing their emotions and their true feelings, and opening that line of communication with them early, so that down the line when they start to when they start to deal with situations of their own, they know that they can come and talk to their parents about it. But we'll go into that a little more deeper into detail later. But like I said, I want to jump back into that statement of, like, do we really sit back and think about the detriment that our behavior, that our actions have on our children and the people around us? Like, literally, kids grow up and they become adults, and a lot of us are struggling with relationships to this day. A lot of us don't know how to be respectful to a man or to a woman. A lot of us are going off of what we were taught from our parents, which these relationships were broken. These relationships were negative. But we use those techniques, we use those skills inadvertently, because we don't recognize that we have learned things the wrong way, and we just go through with it. So at the end of the day, we really, really have to sit down and say, all right, infidelity, if I step out, if I go and cheat on my wife, if I go and cheat on my husband, how is this going to benefit me or my life or anything around me? And I'm speaking from the male perspective, because it's who I am. When you step out, there's a possibility of you having a child outside of your marriage. There's a possibility of you having a child that you really can't even pour into them. Most of the times you're going to try to hide the situation, because you're married. You have a whole family over here. And we've been seeing it, grandpa coming up now, a whole family on the side that no one knew about. But mom been dealing with, or grandma been dealing with this thing her entire life. So we've been learning from broken individuals. We've been learning from people who literally are talking about trust, but they've never been able to trust a day in their lives because the main relationship is broken. So we don't think about how that's going to be affected. Okay? You might be able to step out and be sneaky and nobody ever find out, but you could get a venereal disease from the other person. And now you're bringing that back to your wife. Now you got a lie. I don't know where that came from. Who you messing around with? Throwing it back on you. When people are literally messing around on the outside, guilty conscience. The woman can be 100% faithful, or the man could be 100% faithful. But because that other individual is imparting in these negative behaviors, you're gonna automatically feel like that person is doing the same thing. So you're not gonna want that individual to leave out of your sight. If they're going out with their homegirls, you're gonna be blowing them up trying to figure out what's going on at all times. Or, those things really, really have a mental effect and an emotional effect on the next person. And it affects the family, it affects the relationship. Like, no one really sits down and process how bad it is. At the end of the day, man, the saying is we think with our little head. We automatically get out here and just get so gung-ho because we see someone who's beautiful, or we see someone that we're attracted to. Or at the end of the day, we may be going through struggles with our wife or with our girlfriend. So at the end of the day, it's easy for someone from the outside to make you feel the way you want your significant other to make you feel. Or that individual is saying everything that you wanna hear. But we're not sitting back and saying, like, you know what, she's treating me better than my own wife is. But do you ever ask yourself, are you presenting yourself as that king that you want your wife to treat you like? Are your actions, the things that you've done in the past, the things that you're doing currently, your wife knows everything about you. This woman that you just met, all she sees is the surface. She sees a man who has a job. She's a man who's handsome, a man who knows who can talk and make them laugh and make them feel special. So of course, that person is gonna treat you better than the individual that you're treating like, for lack of better words, you're treating like trash. You're not home. You're not being there. You're not being that nurturer, that support that individual needs. So before we step out and really go out here and step into infidelity, go out here and cheat, we have to look at ourselves in the mirror, and this is men and women. Really ask yourself, are you doing everything that you possibly can do to be the best version of yourself for your significant other? Like, we really have to ask ourselves this. We have to stop blaming, pointing the finger. Men are doing this, women are doing this. Everybody, we can blame forever. And for every finger that's being pointed out, that's 50 more being pointed right back at us. One of the scriptures that I genuinely love, and it's a proverb. It says, before you recognize or call out the twig that's in someone else's eye, deal with the log that's in yours first. And if we all live by that principle, if we all really sit back and try to dissect and figure out what it is that we're doing wrong, figure out what it is that we are ignoring or pushing to the side, or we're not really addressing, then we might be able to make some ground. Now granted, I'm talking about how the effects of children. Everybody's like, we don't have children. I didn't have children with my significant other, and she still cheated on me, or he still cheated on me. There's still ways to look into that. At the end of the day, we have to be better at learning each other. And when you really do that self-dissection, when you really look back at yourself, and if you can genuinely be honest with yourself, if you check off all the boxes and you know that you haven't done anything wrong, that you've been a positive support, you've tried to have open communication, and things still aren't right, this is where you don't choose to just go out here and literally start cheating around and messing with someone else. You have to be grown. You have to do the hard things, and that relationship has to come to an end. It's no longer healthy. It's no longer beneficial for either person. And it's better for you to separate on good terms, be able to explain this to your children if you have them, or if you don't, be able to just move forward and not carry this baggage on to the next situation. This is an isolated relationship. This is an isolated situation. Heal, build, grow, and when you step into the next relationship, come in prepared. Come in with the clear mindset, with the clear slate, not bringing the baggage from the old relationship into the next one. Music Soul Child has a song called Previous Cats. Like, don't blame me for what the previous individual did. Let's start fresh. This is something that we all have to learn. This is something that we all have to recognize. And until we really sit down, and really, to be honest, before we ever get into the relationship, before we ever get deep into a situation, sit back and ask yourself, what good is infidelity? What good is cheating? How is that going to affect me in a positive manner? I guarantee you, none of the answers are positive. All of the answers are negative. Every single situation, every scenario that you could create from stepping out and doing that negative behavior, which cheating, infidelity, not being genuine and honest with your significant other, there's nothing good that comes from that. So when you know that, when you know better, you do better. So we're gonna continue to grow, man. I'm gonna continue to talk on subject of this matter. Soon I'm gonna be pivoting from this subject matter and really going a little bit more into detail on how we can be better for one another. From a psychological and from a spiritual standpoint. A lot of this needs to be addressed, needs to be talked about. But please, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. I'm looking for everybody to really share with me and talk to me, give me comments, feedback. I'm always open to growth. I'm open to any feedback that there is to be given. And once again, man, it's nothing but peace, love, and happiness with me. Stock Exchange.